What's going on, guys? It is Tom and welcome back to a brand new episode of my MotoGP rider career here for the Moto3 season, and should I say the Moto3 category. And today we're going to be racing around Austria, which is a track that we know obviously from F1, and also Silverstone. So two very well known tracks in today's episode, and hopefully we can have a couple of good races just like the last episode around Sachsenring and Brno. So if you did miss those two races, then I do urge you to go check them out if you haven't done so already in the description down below in the link to the video. But also, any other races you might have missed, there's a link to the playlist and the entire season so far. So if you haven't missed any episodes, then I do urge you to go check them out if you haven't done so already. But either way, here we are for Austria, and a track that is fairly simple. Obviously, we know it's lack of corners, so therefore it makes the rest of the track absolutely crucial in terms of nailing every braking point. And this track obviously came back to the MotoGP calendar last season, and it's the first time I've actually raced around it on a motorbike this time. So that's going to be an experience in itself. So hopefully we can try and have a good result in qualifying. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the qualifying session. Okay then, so here we are then, it's Austria, and it looks like it's wet. So a wet session for the first time in a while. It's very cold out there, only 15 degrees on the track temperature and 11 degrees in air. So a very chilly qualifying session here at Austria with the wet track. So it's going to hopefully make for a tasty qualifying session. So without further ado, let's get straight onto the racetrack. Okay, this lap is looking like a much better one, but here we go into turn 2. Look at this, I mean, look how steep that is compared to the F1 game. Oh my god, it's like climbing Mount Everest. But we're 10th up in the first sector. Very nice turn 1. And they actually consider the kink between turn 1 and turn 2 an actual corner. So turn 2 in MotoGP, oh sorry, in F1 is actually turn 3 in MotoGP. And this is actually turn 4 or 5, I believe. So obviously in motorbike racing, you've got to consider the kinks a bit more heavily because they're harder to ride compared to a 4-wheel F1 car. But here we go through the second sectors, but let's see what our lap time is, and we're still purple, so not too bad. 3/10 up on the fastest through there. Let's try and keep this going. This lap's coming together much more nicely, but the final sectors where I seem to lose a bit of my time, so still got a long way to go yet. And so far we've got Kornfeld to sort of follow as a bit of a leader and a bit of a slipstream sort of thing for this lap. But let's see now as we come up to the third sector split now. Let's see how we're getting on, and we're still purple. We're only just by 16 thousandths of a second, so we've dropped a bit of time through the third sector. That's somewhere where the AI are a little bit quick. And here we go then, one more corner to go, the final corner here at Austria. Nice run through the corner, get a nice bit of curb, nice chunk off the curb through the final corner. Here we go then, running up to the line, picking up a toe on Kornfeld. Do we get pole? Not quite, missing out by just over 1/10 of a second. So as you can see, the second half of the lap I just seem to lose a bit of pace, so we've got to keep that in mind for this next lap if we want to try and improve. So we need to try and open up a bit more of a gap in the first couple of sectors and then deal with the final 2 sectors later on. But we get past Kornfeld and we can now focus on the track ahead of us and once again try and go even faster than last time. As we come across the sector split this time in the first sector, and we're up this time by a little bit more, 2 1/4 tenths. So this time much nicer. So I missed my apex for turn 3, but it doesn't really affect us too bad as to get a nice exit. So let's try and continue on here as the conditions are getting slightly worse here at Austria. This time I've lost time in the third sector again, but a much nicer run through the final corner. Is it going to help me at all my lap time? No, it doesn't. Still just over 1/10 off the pace, so I can't seem to hook up a lap around here. It's just far more complex than I expected, and we're going to get it all wrong into turn 1, so that's going to pretty much cancel out this lap. So I think we're going to call it there. I mean, I can't really hook it up. I thought that would have been good enough, so yeah, I think that's going to be the end of our qualifying session. So there we have it, P5 for qualifying at the Red Bull Ring. And also let's factor in my bike isn't the best in a straight line. I do struggle a little bit in a straight line compared to these guys, and there are plenty of straights around here. So yeah, just overall just not really getting the feeling with the bike, and the wet conditions maybe didn't help me. But either way, P5 is still fairly respectable, and we just got to look at the bigger picture here in the championship. And we did win the last race, so as long as we keep the good momentum going, then we'll be in good position for the race tomorrow. But either way, look at that. I mean, still, look how close that pack is, especially from McPhee all the way to first place there, about 2 tenths covering the top 8. So sums up how close it was around here for qualifying. But either way, we're now going to jump into the race.
About to start, you could cut the tension with a knife. But all that matters now is who gets across that line first.
Right, here we go. It's the Austrian Grand Prix for red lights, and it's going to be lights out, and away we go. Let's try and get a good start here and try and settle into this race hopefully, and try and make a couple of moves and try and get ourselves into the top 3 if possible. Here we go then, into the first corner for the first time. I'm going to take the tight inside line pick up the traction on the exit. Nice sunny day here at Austria, but the track is pretty much soaking wet, so it's going to be these conditions throughout 7 laps of this race here. So let's try and pick up a bit of a toe behind these guys as we go up into the very, very narrow turn 3 here. So let's keep an eye out to see how this unfolds. I'm really curious to see how the guys tackle this corner, but look at this, so tight on the apex. I'm going to get past almost everyone, just taking the curb a little bit more aggressively than everybody else, and up into second place behind the championship leader Canet, who I'm only 2 points behind going into this race. So this is the man we're battling right now for the championship, and we're going to try and make a move on him possibly soon as Belega tries to get up my inside. Going to slide my bike up the inside of Canet, getting a bit hot into the corner, and that's going to send me out wide, and these guys are just going to re-overtake me for position for now as we drop down to P5. Now going into the second sector, we're going to go around the outside of Mir, actually picking up a nice run through there, and just getting a bit of traction on the exit, trying to hang it around the outside, but John Mir fighting me as hard as ever. I'm going to try and go around the outside again through this next corner, pick up the traction. Mir's going to force me out again, but I'm holding it against him, and I'm going to make it work and jump up into P4. So nice and aggressive there as we now go into sector 3 and sector 4, which is the sectors where I tend to lose most of my time as I get it all wrong into this corner, and I'm going to allow Joan Mir to re-overtake me, and also a couple of other guys. I think that's Ertul getting past us. I've got a very, very, very minor penalty there for my troubles for extending a little bit too far, but either way, we're down to P6. Ertul's trying to make a move on Mir. As we go on to the start of lap 2, the question is, can we try and pull off a move here? We've got, I think that's McPhee on my inside at turn 1. I'm going to go around the outside, but McPhee just squeezes me off, and that's going to push me down to P7 now, losing another position here at Austria, and a pretty scruffy end to that first lap, actually, losing a lot of time and positions. But that penalty shouldn't affect us too badly in the remainder of this race, because 900ths is not a lot. I mean, it's a lot in these bikes, but still it's a respectable margin as we got the inside of a couple of bikes, regaining the positions as Mir gets all out of shape on the exit of the corner there, rejoining very aggressively. Ertul re-overtakes me there for position. Also McPhee picking up a toe, he's going to fly past me there, but I now know that the AI are pretty poor into turn 3, so that's a possible overtaking opportunity for me later on in the race. But here we go then into turn 4. So that the bike a little bit aggressive into the corner there, but we've pulled it back, made it work, and we're up into P5. Ertul once again makes the move, and he takes P4, but nice and aggressive overtaking here at Austria. I've got to say, getting the elbows out nice and early here, as I'm going to try and go around the outside of Ertul, just like I did with Mir last lap. Can we try and pull it off here? It's going to be tight. Ertul's got the run, and I think this time he's going to make it stick on the inside, so we're going to have to sit behind now for P5. Okay, so here we go into turn 3 once again. Can we try and maybe gain a bit of time on those ahead of us as we come in a bit hot into the corner, running out a bit wide? Going to pick up the traction anyway and just take basically a similar line to what Nico Rosberg took last year in the real life Austrian Grand Prix in F1, but not really ideal as I lost a bit of time. I didn't really gain the time that I wanted into that corner, but we're going to just try and sit behind these guys. They are battling pretty hard out there, so we're just going to try and wait for the opportunity to arise, and we'll strike like an absolute cobra. So just keeping the bike in there, doing our thing, and I'm pretty sure the opportunity will come sooner rather than later. Okay, so I've caught up to the back of Ertul, but the problem is I've brought the rest of the pack behind me with me, and the leader isn't really breaking away, so Belega not making a move for it, and right now this whole pack is starting to bunch up again as Ertul's looking to make a move on a Canet, the championship leader, who's there in 3rd place. So there's our target, man. If we can just beat Canet this race, that'd be good for the championship as they get all out of shape through there. We're just going to sit behind these guys and try and wait for the opportunity to strike, and I think this is a chance now. Canet's had a really poor exit out the final corner. I'm going to pull to the inside, shift up. Look at the speed though on that bike that Canet's got. Luckily he backs out the throttle a little bit, and we're going to retake P4 in this Grand Prix as Canet's going to look up my inside at turn 1, but I'm having none of it. I can match him on the brakes more than comfortably, and we're now right behind Ertul, and we're going to pick up a nice toe on him actually through this straight into turn 2 and then into turn 3. So I do fancy myself on the brake, so let's see what we can do, how much damage we can do into the brake zone here into turn 3 on Ertul, because that should be a fairly comprehensible overtake up the inside. And there we go, we've made it work. Martin gets a bit out of shape on the exit of the corner, which is going to allow me to get right onto his slipstream here, and we're going to try and pull to the outside. A bit of a late shift there, which is not going to help me, and we're going to have to sit behind him for now, but I'm going to maybe try and size one up for turn 4. The AI are pretty good into the brakes on there, but I'm still going to try and go for it anyway. Let's try and slow the bike down. I've run in a bit hot onto the grass, onto the gravel, and I've lost it. I've lost a lot of time there. That's not going to help me one bit. I'm going to drop through the field once again, so not ideal as Antonelli and Migno make the move on me. So not good. Time loss there, unnecessary time loss, and now we're going to try and get back past these guys and try and regain the positions that we've lost, because I can't seem to make an efficient move stick this race. As now I'm looking here, the track's pretty dry through this section, and I've gone down again. That is not good for us. That's going to hurt us quite substantially. I thought I had the move there, but Antonelli's just caused me to crash. I thought I didn't think that was an aggressive move. I thought I was absolutely fine. I thought I made that perfectly, but the slightest tap and that's basically sent me crashing to the ground. So right now I'm in a bit of free fall in terms of positions. I'm struggling around here, and the track is drying out, which is another thing we have to keep in mind. So here we go, then out the final corner, P17 to make that P16 now. Can we get some points out of this race? Right now I need the clean air with 2 laps to go to try and make anything happen. So let's see what we can do now. As we go on the brakes, can we go up the inside of Suzuki? Possibly into turn 1. He's going to go up the inside of Danilo at the same time. I'm going to pick up the traction here, get into the slipstream of Suzuki, and try and make a move on the Honda rider here. Getting a nice toe on the back straight as we go through turn 2 now. I'm going to take the inside line, and I should be able to defend on the brakes into turn 3. So let's just try and focus on what's ahead of us and not behind us into this corner here. Okay, so it's the last lap of the race, last chance saloon here. The track is actually bone dry now, so these tyres not really working to their best. But here we go, it's the last couple of corners. Can we make anything happen in the remainder of this Austrian Grand Prix here? Behind these guys, can we make some sort of move possibly into the final corner or out of it? Possibly. I don't think we can. We've got a little bit of an extra penalty, which I don't know where I've got that, but for my troubles I've gained a bit more time. But luckily it's not going to affect us as the guys behind are too far behind, and it's going to be a disappointing race for Austria there with a couple of falls and crashes. So yeah, scruffy race to say the least, and luckily Canet finishing P6, but it's not going to help us in the championship. But either way, hopefully in our home race in Silverstone we can try and turn this poor result around. Here we are then, Silverstone, a beautiful circuit and one that I'll be visiting in very short time in real life, and I can't wait. But one of the best tracks in the UK, and the one that I know very well from my Formula 1 racing. But the question is, will I be able to carry that good form from F1 into the motorcycle world and into the Moto3 world, more specifically around this circuit? We'll have to wait and see, but fingers crossed we can try and have a good race here, and more crucially, right now, a good qualifying. Oh wow, it's only just dawned on me, it's just the old pit straight for motorbike racing in MotoGP, so that's a bit nostalgic, I do say so myself, and a nice little touch. So back to the old pit lane and old pit start straight. So there you go, Cops is the old turn 1, fantastic. Okay, so the first lap is in the books by the look of it, and about 6 tenths off the pace in sector 3. Across the line, what will the gap be? That's the question. But first lap in the books, nothing spectacular on my first lap. I lost the whole second in that final sector, so that's something to keep into mind and into account for the next lap. But let's try again and see how we do in our second lap. Okay, I'm up again in the third sector. It's been a perfect lap so far. One more corner to negotiate. Come on, let's see if this time we're a little bit closer to pole position. Across the line, is it pole? No, we've actually lost it all. So that final sector is starting to become a little bit mystifying and baffling for me, because I can't seem to find any time through there. So this is a little bit concerning. I'm going to go for one more. This will be my last lap. Let's see if I can pull it out the bag. Okay, it's been a scruffy lap, but I've had a ridiculous sector 3. This time I'm just throwing it into the corners this lap to see what sticks. And here we go then. Through the proper final corner, you could say. On the power now, I've only got Woodcock to negotiate. Let's see how we deal with the corner. I'm going to try and carry a good speed, but try not to scrub off any speed. And here we go then, across the start finish line. I can't go any faster than this. And at this time, I've pulled it out the bag. And there you go. First place on my last attempt. I still lost like 3.5 tenths in the final sector, but I pulled out the bag. And this time, I'm on first place at Silverstone. And there we go. With that, it's confirmed. Pole position for the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Fantastic result, and hopefully we can try and convert this to a better race result, unlike the last race in Austria. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the race.
Bikes and riders ready to go here at Silverstone, and in just a few seconds another great British Grand Prix is about to get underway at this famous old airfield.
Okay, so a race start from the old pit straight for the first time in a long while. I haven't said that in ages, but here we go. Forward lights, the British Grand Prix is underway. Let's try and have a good race today. Put on a show for the fans, because my bike isn't up to scratch around here compared to these guys, but I want to try my hardest to make it count anyway, and try and have a good race today. So let's try and recover from the disappointment that was Austria after that terrible crash. So here we go then, into Magus and Beckett for the first time this race. Going to let these guys go through on me, as I'm going to try and pick up my line, getting past Belega and Canet, sliding one back up the inside. Oh, Migno's got forced out dry there. Migno's just hit his teammate Belega off the track. I'm going to get past a pair of the Sky Riders. Go through Chapel now. Pretty good run through there. And so far, so good as we make our way down the hangar straight into Stowe corner. So let's see how this unfolds. Taking it nice and easy now. We're going to wait for the moment. And we're going to just go up the inside on the brakes nice and aggressively here. Take the normal racing line. Belega's forcing me out wide, but I'm just not going to let him get past me. If there's a race where I'm going to fight really hard as this one here in front of my home crowd. I want to try really put on a performance here as the rear tyres bouncing into that corner. Belega's going for the move, but I've got the better racing line through this section. He's going to cut back on me, presumably now, through the current pit straight, and he has made a stick, to be fair, quite nasty. And I'm going to drop back to P6 for now as we go into the current turn 1. I believe it's called Abbey, so let's go into Abbey corner, getting a good run on Belega, squeezing my way up the inside. Good run, good momentum through there, and we're now going to squeeze the power on, keeping it flat as we go into Village and I believe Farm, which are the next two corners, which is sort of like the Village complex. And we're just going to feed it through this little twisty section. Belega back up my inside. I'm going to pick up the power. I'm on the grass a bit, which isn't going to help my cause. And Belega's going to make the move for now, but I'm going to pick up the toe and try and line him up for a re-overtake down this straight into Brooklands and Luffield. So let's see. On the brakes, I want to take a very shallow and aggressive line, which seemed to work for me in qualifying when I got my pole lap. And that seems to have worked for me again there as Belega gets a bit out of shape, and I'm just going to cut back underneath him up the inside. Going to cover the inside, make sure he doesn't get back past me. And there we go, up into P5. Belega, though, still not done yet. Jesus, he's really fighting me this race. But I'm not going to let him have it. This is my home race. I'm not letting this go. So many British people packing out the grandstands, and I want to give them the show or something to be proud of. So here we go. Oh, so close. Good run on Belega through there. Almost could have sliced and taken him out, but we've kept it on 2 wheels as we go into Maggots and Beckett's now on lap 2. We've got Migno, I think, going for a move. I'm going to go around the outside of Belega beautifully there. Nice move. I'm going to park my bike in the middle of the racetrack, not let Belega get a sniff. Keep it nice and tight on Chapel to kick us out onto the hangar straight. Slightly modified Chapel section compared to the F1 layout, which is in F1 is a bit more open. In MotoGP it's a little bit tighter and a bit more close, making it a little bit more of a challenge for the riders. But here we go. I think I've got a bike coming up my inside. It's probably Belega, and yes, it is just Belega once again up my inside. I'm going to actually challenge him around the outside if I can. I'm going to pick up the exit speed. Migno's looking racy up the inside, and Belega's made it stick beautifully there. So I can't fight him just yet. Going to let Belega go for now. Migno is now up my inside, but I've got to run through the flip-flop chicane, and we're going to make it work just about. Migno's going to go back up my inside. Both of the Sky bikes making it really hard for me this race to get into any sort of rhythm as they're both trying to cut through me. But here we go then. Into Abbey once again. I'm going to go up the inside of Migno beautifully there and try and get a run on Belega, because I know to this next braking point I'm pretty good. So let's try and stick nice and close to Belega. And now on the brakes, up the inside, nice and late. Can we get it on the brakes? No, we can't. Not quite close enough to Belega to make the move stick. Really screeching that rear tyre, really putting out some serious stress here. But it looks like the Sky bikes are actually, they've got some pretty good pace, and we're actually catching up to the leading pack here. So it's actually not a bad thing, as we just keep it going behind Belega now midway through lap 2. And the question is, when could we make a move possibly on the guys up ahead of us as Migno goes on my inside? I'm going to try and hang it around the outside, but he's made it work. I'm going to switch back underneath him and re-overtake him there. Just basically as just vintage Moto3 racing there for you, to switch backs all the time. But here we go out the front corner now, and Belega's firmly caught up to that train now. Hopefully now me and Migno can also join in on the action and make it a tastable scrap for the race win. So Martin's got to hang out to dry by Belega. That's going to allow me to just go up the inside, cruise up the inside of Martin and make the move momentarily at least, because Martin goes back up my inside. I'm going to fight him though, take the inside line through Chapel, get on the power onto the hangar straight, and I'm now up into P5. So this scrap has just developed into a multi-bike scrap now for the lead. I think there's 8 bikes fighting for the race win here at Silverstone as we now make our way down to Stowe. Look at the speed Migno's got in that Sky bike. I'm going to do it back up the inside at Stowe. I'm having absolutely none of it. He's going to switch back underneath me though. Fair play to him. I'm still going to stick right in his back of his bike. I was going to say his gearbox, but I don't know what the gearbox is on a motorbike. So just going to try and stick it now up the inside of Migno on the brakes, making it work. Running a little bit hot, which is going to allow Migno to get back past me. And the AI are very clever around here, I've got to say, making the moves to perfection. And I'm now stuck behind Martin in P7. So Let's see how this unfolds now as we go once again through Abbey. Let's try and make the same old move that I like to make. Pick up the traction, pick up the speed. A little bit of a love kiss there to Martin. Oh, it's going to be so close to Migno. I was having flashbacks of other instances I've had, especially at Austria there. Having a brief flashback to the crash I had, but we've made it work anyway. And we can now retake P5. Just going to park my bike on the apex, not letting Migno get too much of a run because he's getting too big for his boots. Meanwhile, Belega's in the race lead, so the championship leader, who's now Belega, absolutely incredible pace here at Silverstone. I mean, he's got some pretty ridiculous pace in that Sky VR46 machine. But here we go then, into Brooklands and Luffield once again, bringing it down the gears. Migno's going to go up my inside. I'm going to go around the outside of him though, which will become the inside for the final corner. I'm going to squat the power a little bit, try and defend the inside from Migno, not let him get past me, and I'm going to hold on to P5 for now. It looks like some other bikes are starting to catch up to this little train of bikes. I'm trying to catch the guys ahead, but they've got some pretty damn good pace, so we're going to need them to start scrapping if I want any chance of catching them towards the end of the race. But here we go, into turn 1 once again, into Copse, good speed, good run through there. Got to make Maggis and Beckett's count this time because I've got some bloody good speed through those corners. So hopefully if I don't get interfered and put off by Migno behind me, then I can just do my thing through here and try and catch these guys up ahead, because they're not particularly quick through this section and I want to get onto the back of them ASAP. So there we go, dropping it in gear, getting the nose in, onto the power, through Chapel, and this time I'm nice and close to Fenati. A little bit of a gap to Migno behind, like I said, getting a good run through Maggis, Beckett's and Chapel, and now it's a question of waiting for the moment to strike, because I need to get into this top 5, or should I say top 4 now, and I want to push at least for a podium in my home race after starting on pole position. I know the bike hasn't got the performance around this circuit to really challenge, but I want to give it a good crack anyway, because there's only one British Grand Prix a year, so I want to make this one last and count. So here we go, into Club and Vale, I believe. I'm not sure what order, but good run through there now, through the F1 final corner onto the current straight now, pit straight for F1. And we've got a bit of a gap to Migno. We're closer to Fenati than to Migno. I've got a good bit of momentum through this next section, so let's try and make it count as I get a nice bit of speed through there, using all the curb to my advantage, carrying as much speed as possible. Now we've got to go nice and out on the brakes if possible, try and make up all the time that I'm losing. Onto the power nice and early. Fenati's right there, so we've had a pretty damn good run through sector 3 on the power really early out of there, actually getting a nice tight line, bringing the nose in really late, and we're now run back of Fenati. I've got the run, but I just don't have enough straight line speed to really get past him, and just Fenati's just a bit too quick in a straight line. I'm going to go up the inside on the brakes though if possible, into Luffield I believe it is, and let's make it work. Making it work just about. We're going to get up the inside of now Brooklands I believe, or Luffield. I just don't know in what order it is, but Fenati's made it work around my outside beautifully, to be fair to him. So Fenati holds on to P4, so good defensive driving, or riding, sorry, from him as we go on to the start of the final lap of the Grand Prix here at Silverstone. So let's try make this lap count. Like I said, I'm very good through this first sector, so we're going to make this work once again, try and get past Fenati, and I want to try and get to the back of Canet if possible, because he's a championship rival of mine, along with Belega, who's also in the lead. So let's try and go nice and aggressive here. Up the inside, a bit of a corner cut, that's going to cost me a bit. Getting a penalty, a small penalty there, but we've made it work nonetheless. Only a 10th, that's not too bad. I've had worse penalties, but around the outside for Fenati, there we go, up into P4. Now we've got to basically make the rest of this lap count, but before we do that, we're going to have to make Stowe the most late braking corner I've ever tried. But look at the speed Migno's got, unreal, as I get right on the back of him there, and he's lost the back end. Oh, he's gone. I'm almost gone as well. I had a little bit of a wobble through there. That was very close. I could have fallen off, but luckily I've kept it on the track. But I'm down to P6 now, and we've got bikes trying to make a move. Gian Antonio making a move on me, or trying to at least, as we go through this section. Here we go, last lap of the race. I think I've got a bike trying to come up my inside. I'm going to have none of it on the brakes though. I'm going to take a nice and aggressive line into Luffield and Brooklands, make it work for me. I've got a 10th penalty, so I'm going to have a pretty good damn final corner here to make this one count. So let's try squat the power on nice and early. Let's see if we can hold on to P6 here for Silverstone. Disappointing result, but that crash sort of took me out of the equation for our last lap battle for the podium. But I think I'm going to lose a few more places here because of the penalties. We come across the line, getting out of slipstream, and across the line, the question is, how many places did we drop because of the 1/10th penalty? I've got a feeling it might be 3 places, but I'll have to see. And no, we didn't drop a single place. So just by 16,000 of a second, keeping it in P6 there, just ahead of Gian Antonio. So there you go, not too shabby. Balega wins the race, and he was absolutely incredible in that race. I've got to say, his pace was ridiculous. P6 for me on the Mahindra machine, not spectacular, but not too bad considering my bike is not great and around the track that I really didn't have to pace at. So we did the best out of a bad situation. Either way, that was Silverstone, and we're going to look at the race, at drivers and constructors standings, but right now, that was a really hectic race, and I need a little breather before we move into the standings. And looking at the Riders' Championship, you can see that we're now 38 points behind Balega, who's really stretching out a lead now in this championship, and was only 2 points off the lead literally last episode, so we've lost a lot of points this episode, and a lot of scruffy riding going on there, but you know, there's still a few races to go yet, and we can definitely still turn it around. 38 points is nothing in the world of Moto 3, and we can at least try and go for at least second spot. I mean, Balega's really starting to get a gap, but that Sky machine is just so quick, and it's hard to catch those guys. But either way, looking at constructors finally, you can see that we're still in third place, and that's probably going to be a story for the rest of the season, unless someone decides to turn up and step up their form. But either way, that was this episode of the Moto 3 season for the MotoGP 17 rider career. And if you guys did enjoy it, then a thumbs up would be greatly appreciated. Let's see if we can try and smash 80 likes on this video. Also, if you're new on here, if you could please subscribe to my channel for future content like this and F1 content, that'd be absolutely fantastic. And there you guys, if you did miss these videos on screen right now, I do urge you to go check them out if you haven't done so already. But thank you ever so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in my next video very soon. Goodbye.